Hey gang, long time no see. As you may already know, I took some time off. I actually deactivated or privatized my entire channel for a short period of time. I had to do a little soul searching, figure out exactly what's going on with me, and I'm ready now to come back and try to give you guys a little bit more insight into what's going on inside this thing right here. While I was off, I met a lot of people, and I noticed there was a big recurring theme in our conversations where they would constantly ask me how I identified. And it got to the point where I thought, well, maybe I should do another video on how I identify, because my self-identification has changed. So I'll tell you a little bit more about my life, and hopefully I'm not beating a dead horse, but it's going to end up different, okay, from my other videos about how I accept myself or identify. I love words, as everybody knows, and sometimes I don't use them correctly, but I still like them. They're powerful icons, and they matter. And within the transgender community, or community as a whole, people love labels as well, and they like to use words as labels. And lately, in the last few years, we've been politicizing certain words and bastardizing them, changing their meanings. Calling someone a Nazi who was obviously not a Nazi, but we've changed the meaning of that in politics. Calling someone a liberal as if it was a dirty word, when the word liberal actually means they just have an open mind to new ideas. But now suddenly liberal is a terrible word for a lot of people. It's a derogatory comment. It's crazy stuff, but it's human nature, and that's where we're at. Okay. So how do I identify today, now, and for the rest of all time? How do I identify? Here we go. Here's my history. For years, since I could put a name on it, I believed that I was a cross-dresser. Okay, I believed I was a man that liked to wear women's clothes. I also believed that this meant there was something wrong with me, that I must have some kind of mental disorder or a fetish. And why can't I stop the compulsion to want to present myself as a woman? I don't get it. Of course, I was afraid to leave the house when presenting that way. So you stay locked up inside your house, and this doesn't make you feel like you're doing something good. It perpetuates the stigma, and it perpetuates the internalized self-loathing that people get when they're afraid to exhibit what it is they really want to do. There must be something wrong with me. I can't show public this. I'll be laughed at. I'll be ridiculed. I'm a cross-dresser. Okay? My ignorance about my condition had me believing that I only wanted to wear the clothes. Because I did not believe that I was a woman. How many times I started out to attend a social function for trans people or for cross-dressers, and halfway there, and it might have been a 90-minute ride, so 45 minutes into it, the guilt got to me so badly of doing this, such a hedonistic thing that I was doing, that I turned the car right around, went back home, spend the rest of the evening with my family. Okay? This happened a lot. And not because I was afraid of showing myself, because I was going to a protected environment. It was just the guilt feelings from it. Why am I doing this? This is so wrong. I should be with my family, and that was wrong. Okay. Who was I kidding? Was I trying to pretend to be a woman? I was just going to go play dress up with a bunch of other guys that wanted to play dress up. So I need to go home. If I did go and make it there, within 2 or 3 hours, I was out of there, because, I was like, you know what, this is wrong. The whole time I was fighting those feelings. Occasionally I would give in to the desire to go out in public and present myself to the world as a girl. And because of my love of and fondness for bodybuilding, I presented myself to the world as a very large, well-built, muscular male in a skirt and heels. And 30 years ago, this elicited much laughter from from people, and it just made me feel so much better about myself as well. Today, the laughter is welcomed. If on the rare occasion that someone is laughing at me as if there was something wrong or sick or ridiculous with what I'm doing, I'll just give it right back to them. I've got that kind of confidence today, but I didn't before. I finally stopped the bodybuilding and began to do cardio, and as you can all tell, I've become a little wisp of a thing. I did lose a lot of weight, and I did lose a lot of muscle. So I was a little more easily passable. I went from like a size 22 to a size 12. So, didn't do too badly in that department. A lot of work, a lot of starvation, but I wanted to do it. Now I'm asking myself, how is it that I'm so excited about losing all this weight and looking like a girl? How is it that I'm able to make all these sacrifices and do all this dieting and run on this treadmill 10 miles a day? How is it that I'm willing to do all of this? And I'm not, just like today, when I started HRT a little over 3 years ago. I know there's a much greater risk for a stroke now than there ever was with me, okay? My body has become smoother and rounder as opposed to hard and angular like it used to be. How come I don't stop the HRT? Why do I like it? I'm growing breasts and I like it. My body's changing and becoming more feminine and I like it. This doesn't turn me on sexually. It just makes me feel good. Now, I have never once believed that I was a woman. I have flirted with the idea a million times, but I have never believed it. I could never wrap my head around it. I've asked hundreds of women, what does it feel like to be a girl? Tell me, because if I have those same feelings, then I'll be a girl. And they said, I don't know what it feels like to be a girl. I just feel like me. And I said, well, okay, I just feel like me, so maybe I'm a girl. The bottom line is some smart person told me this about a month ago, you can't explain the unexplainable. You can't put words on a feeling so much. Sometimes you can, but even when you hear people describe love, they describe it in physical terms, how their body feels or how their mind feels, how their heart aches and all this other stuff, and you're supposed to infer the meaning of all that. Okay, so I don't know what it feels like to be a girl. I don't know what it feels like to be a guy. I know what it feels like to be me. Okay, so the jury's still out on whether or not I believe I'm a girl. Now let's get into some definitions. I talked about that earlier. I looked some of this stuff up so I could, I have my own definitions, but I looked it up to get the general consensus from a dictionary. Transgender is an umbrella term or someone who does not identify with the gender assigned to them at birth. Okay? Or relating to a person whose sense of personal identity does not correspond with their birth sex. I don't know if I fit into either one of those or that whole definition. I don't know if I fit into that. My personal identity is a girl. I have too much fun being a husband and a father. Now, maybe I'm being a wife and a mother. I don't know. But I'm kind of playing that society role of father and husband. Okay? I am not the one... I'm not the parent that my daughters run to for advice all the time. I'm not the one that my daughters run to confide in about personal issues. And that's kind of where the father role is. The father's a little gruffer, a little rougher, a little harder on the emotions. Not easy to share with if you're a girl. But they do share a lot of things with me. But I'm always seem to be falling to that role of father with them. Wikipedia adds to this and makes a distinction that some transgender people want to transition from one sex to another and identify as transsexual. So where do I fit in? Would it really bother me if people saw me as a woman? No. Would it bother me if they treated me as a woman? I've given this a lot of thought, and I have been treated as a woman in a lot of situations, and no, I like it. I slide right in there. I fit right into that. It's all comfortable and good. When I was young, it would have bothered the hell out of me, but I had a strong desire to be a father and a husband, and I believed my kids should have a father and a mother, and I wanted to be a role model for them that I did not have. My parents divorced when I was 4. I broke this cycle. My wife and I have been married for 31 years. But I have denied my feelings over the years, and I repressed them, and I ran away from them. But I kind of ran in a big circle, and I ran back into my feelings again. I want to present myself in a feminine way, with a feminine image to the world. I want to have a female body. I will always believe that I can't have one because man-made parts aren't the same for me. And it wouldn't be practical to spend my retirement savings on surgeries. It also wouldn't make my wife very happy, as the female form doesn't really turn her on. So I guess I will just have to put my relationship ahead of my desires. Just as my wife has a strong and compelling desire to be married to Chris Hemsworth, but she's just going to play the cards that she got dealt. Okay? If you ever heard, there's a song called Speechless by Dan and Shay, and it describes a man's feelings about his girl, about his partner, and how she leaves him speechless every time he sees her. Every time, no matter how long it's been. And I have that same feeling, I share that same exact feeling about my wife. And I don't, and I will always look at her that way. But if I become a woman, I'm going to have that feeling every time I see her, only she's going to be with a guy. She's going to be with somebody else. She's not going to be with me. And I wonder how that feeling is going to make me feel then. Of course, she has confided in me and told me that after being married to me for 30 years, there is no way in hell that she would ever marry another man. So maybe I won't have to see her with another guy. But that's my biggest fear. I'm not really afraid of anything, but that's my biggest fear. Hey. So now, how do I identify? According to those definitions, I am definitely, unapologetically a transsexual. But I am not transgender. Love and peace to all. Let's just try to accept one another for who we are. Oh, and in the words of my favorite superhero, John Wick, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.